Welcome to the Artist Bios. Today we'll be speaking with Kitham Asad from Welcome to the Shit Show. What I really love is in your bio that you have this written down where you write, it's an innovative way of displaying your thrifted closet. Tell me more about how you came up with the concept, just displaying your closet that way, and just where it all started for you.
It's funny. In college, I was just very experimental with my style. And I remember getting compliments a lot, like, I love your clothes. I love like what you're doing with it and stuff like that. And then the pandemic hit and I was hanging out with my best friend. I was like, you know what? Like, I just want to take pictures of my clothes one day, like my outfits, and see what turns out of it. So we ended up meeting up and taking pictures for like the whole entire day. And I will never forget how much fun we had that day. She's a creative soul herself, but she doesn't like know that. So experimenting with the camera and seeing, and we did it on a disposable first, we'd have to wait weeks to get it back. And then most of my closet is thrifted. I thrift all the time. So it just turned into like, okay, I'm like showing my thrifted closet, but I'm not really telling people where I got it from. So how do I like promote this? So I just said like an innovative way of showing my style.
And how would you like introduce yourself? What is your presence? What do you do?
I would say that I'm a very creative soul, that I like to take make visions out of my clothes, and that I like to inspire others to be able to fall into their artistry and be able to have their own visions and articulate them, whether it's with fashion, art, or anything that they like.
And that just fits really well just with everything you've been pushing lately with events and like building a community too. So we'll talk about that later. But how did you develop your own sense of style?
I developed my own sense of style just by kind of being okay with not liking everything. And
Mm.
like the trends that come and go and everything like that. I'm not a crazy fashion person who throws on a bunch of stuff. I like a very specific type of style, and I just always stay true to that, and whatever I feel like will fit me that looks good, that's just how I develop my style.
I feel like that's so important, being able to not like things and like pick up on when you do and why you do. Like it's okay, you
Yeah,
don't have to like everything.
yeah, you really don't. Like someone like your closest friend, your best friend might like this type of style, but you are your own person. You do not have to like something else someone loves.
Yeah.
So that's something
Yeah.
that I've always just stuck by, and I think that's what's gotten me far in it. It's like, even though, like, you see all these people with creative outfits with everything, but you're just beating to the beat of your own drum.
And that's the thing too, like because you're doing that, I think, and because you have figured out what you like, it makes everything that you're showing very much your own. It's not going to be just an iteration of like 50 other people someone could be following. It's just you, and you can't see that anywhere else. It feels like with your posts, the fact that you style them, you put all this work into creating an image built around your clothing. It almost looks like a mood board of sorts. Like you have all these different ideas, and it's very much like you've put time into creating like almost a set behind everything. So what would you say with that was kind of your first entry into photography and styling, but then also just fashion?
I never knew that I liked photography until I started shooting my outfits. That's why I always encourage people to just start somewhere, because you never know what something will come your way and you'll fall in love with.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so I think that as soon as like we started shooting my outfits, my best friend would shoot them all for me.
Okay.
And we both don't know anything about cameras. Like, we both knew nothing. But
Yeah.
then there would be times where she isn't available because of life, and then I would be like, but I need to post. Like, I'm very like I go through phases. So like I would be in a phase where I'm like really wanting to post every week. I have to kind of just do it on my own and figure it out. And that's when
Mhm.
I like had the most fun. I loved shooting. I still don't know much about photography. Like, everything you see is a very like
It
I could be
looks
so much
so good.
I could be so much better if I actually figured out how to work a camera. And styling, I really love. There's some, like, still with this account, there's some like months where I'm not in that much into styling. Maybe I'm more into like connecting, creating, or like
Yeah.
introducing people to like events, like what I
Hmm.
did before. So it kind of just goes up and down, and I've learned to like really be okay with the balance.
Yeah, yeah. I think too, like, that's such a nice thing when you do have multiple interests, or you're even just like open to having different things that you enjoy and figuring out what your passions are. It gives you so much room to expand and just kind of figure out where you want to put your energy. And like, if there are multiple things you care about, you don't have to do just one thing, right? Like, you can
Yeah.
make time for everything, go to one thing for now, and then once you're not feeling it, move to the other. So I think that's really special. So I want to go back to more of the styling still, and then also we'll jump into events. What all goes into kind of from start to finish the images that we end up getting to see? Like, what is your creative process like with that?
So, it depends like what the season is in my life because I do travel abroad a lot and I have lived abroad. Times where I can't be as I feel like I don't have a lot of the resources I do when I'm back home. When I'm back home, I have more money. Like I'm
Yeah.
able to really plan stuff out. I can buy last minute props, things like that. So when I'm home, I feel like I'm able to have like a much more creative direction where I can plan things, I can plan outfits, I can go thrifting for them, I can find the shoot location and then find the style I'm looking for and then plan an outfit around it or vice versa. And then I go, I shoot, and then I get the pictures immediately and I go through them. I have to set aside time to edit. So maybe like 2 to 3 hours. Go and I'll just start editing. I narrow it down and then I'm never content with it at the end of it. Like I don't think any artist is ever content with their work. Never
Yeah.
am, but
Yeah.
post it and months later I love it.
Isn't that funny how it works? Like, it's so hard to be able to really, like, in the moment be like, okay, I like my work,
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. But then, like, I don't know, over time, once you come back to things, there's like more of this fondness for it, and you're like, oh, okay, it wasn't that bad. Like, I kind of like
Yeah,
this.
it's crazy how we think because whenever like I first post something or I never admire it as much as I do months down the road. I'll look back at it and be like, wow, you did that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, where was this energy at the time? Why am I like this?
Yeah, so I've learned I'm someone that like I think validation could be healthy in a like
Mm,
in a small way. You don't need all the validation, but someone just telling you like reminding you like, "Hey, this is good. Like you're
yeah,
doing
yeah,
good." Can
yeah.
go a long way because then you'll be like, "Oh, that's just me tripping. I'll be back in a few months."
That's the thing. Like, I think that, yes, like, there's something to be said for external validation, whatever, but like, it's one thing just like personally for your own being, and then another for like the creative work you're doing, because like, you have to put so much of yourself into it, just your mind, your imagination, and that's really vulnerable. And
Yeah.
so, like, sometimes having feedback that like is encouraging and even just like noticing what you're doing of like, okay, I saw this thing that you're doing, we want to see more of it, like that can do
That's
so
enough
much.
for us to
Yeah,
keep going as creatives. Like that's
yeah,
enough to just get that extra push where you get out of your own head.
yeah, it really is. And that kind of brings me to the next point of, with doing this and being creative and coming up with these ideas all the time, how do you get your energy in order to stay creative, and what really brings you inspiration?
Hmm. I think there was I forgot who did this. Maybe a few months after I started this account, I watched this podcast
Mhm.
that talks about how to restore your energy. And it was talking about how like this one guy, I don't know his name, and
It's
I don't want to
okay.
say Albert Einstein, it's not him, but one of those like great
Yeah.
influentials in the world. He would lock himself in a room for 3 days, no distractions, in order to get his brain back and to get his creativity back. Obviously, I can't do that. He wouldn't
Wow.
even eat. He wouldn't even eat. No
Whoa.
food, like very minimal, no contact with the world, and that would get his creative ideas flowing. And I've noticed a pattern within myself when I take a break from everything, don't answer my phone, literally
Hmm.
do nothing, be in my room all day. I do not allow myself to go out if I have the privilege to do so that week,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And just like stay completely by myself in my own energy for like a day. Of course I'll eat and stuff, but just very minimal contact that helps me completely recharge and think.
Hmm.
Because as creatives, we're always working. Our brain is our superpower. It allows me to completely recharge and get excited again.
That is really timely that you're saying that. I'm trying to think, I think it was Thursday or something. I was so fried. Like it's been a lot of just like I'm on my computer the whole day. I might get up to eat, but like I go right back and I keep working. And I had plans with a friend, and she is a photographer, but then also does like these other really cool things. And I very easily could have been like, you know what? I'm tired. I need to like pass out on it. But she is one of those people that when I'm with her, my energy isn't, how do I put it?
Drained. It's relifted.
Yeah, yeah. Like, and that's the thing, like, I feel bad sometimes saying that, but it's just me.
No,
Genuinely,
I experience the same exact thing. I have to be very, very selective with who talk to.
yeah, really. And I mean, that's the thing where I'm lucky with her. We went to the art museum. We were there for like 3 hours and just being surrounded by art. It was very quiet. It wasn't overstimulating. You could just sit in a room surrounded by things and just think and be in your head and just be like inspired by things like time to rest. It needs to be talked about more how important rest is.
I've experienced burnout before. I'm not sure if you have, but it's a very
Yes.
scary thing to go through.
Yeah.
And our bodies and our mind tell us when we're reaching that point. And
Yeah.
it's really important to listen to that, like listen to your gut. When you reach burnout, nothing feels doable. Like you feel like you're never going to get back to how you once were. In order to avoid that position, it's really important to just like take a step back, do something else. Also, like you asked the question, I also something else also came to mind is like helping others kind of gets me back
Mm.
into where I need to be because it reminds me how small I am. I feel like when you're in your own head, everything feels like such a big deal. But when you're helping other people, you realize that, oh, we're all just humans. Like, we're all on this earth. Like,
Mhm.
I am insignificant to some level,
Yeah, yeah.
helping others make me want to help myself more too.
Hmm.
So that really helps me.
Okay, I feel that. I think that's such a really significant thing to be able to wrap your mind around of like, we're important, we're here, that matters.
Yeah.
If you look at things though, there's so many, like, there's just so much in this world. We're really small. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, this, me, the space I occupy, even just the influence I have and what I'm doing day to day, there's so much more outside of me. And like, in some ways for me, that is really comforting
Yeah.
because it isn't a big deal. It doesn't have to be so much where it's heavy. Like, it gives you some space to then feel like, okay, like, I can keep doing this. And then, like, once you're inspiring other people and getting them excited, it feeds you too.
Yeah, you can learn a lot from other people. And sometimes when you're focusing on one creative project or this, you get really focused between the art and yourself. But
Yeah.
there's no one else in that bubble.
Yeah.
So when you take yourself out of it and like go help someone else, you get an insight into their brain, their thoughts, and all of that. And then they might say something that gets you instantly inspired.
And I feel like it goes back to what you said at the start too, of like that validation. Sometimes like even just that like reciprocal sharing of energy where you're both really interested in a project, you're invested, you're caring, they even just share their 2 cents. Like that in itself is enough reason, enough energy to just keep going and keep doing what you're doing. About your most recent events that you've done, because I feel
Yeah.
like this goes right into that. I'm so excited for you. And I think, like, I don't know, there's something to be said for just making space to be in community with people. So, for you, like, talk a little bit about the event, what it was like for anyone that doesn't know, and then walking away from it, how you felt.
The event was basically, it's kind of weird how like it all came together in the mission of it because you have to get really specific when I guess you're creating something so that people know what you're creating. It was a creative women empowerment like networking event where my goal was to create a safe space for girls to come and feel inspired and just feel like they have fun because I
Yeah.
feel like in our 20s it's really hard to feel like you're supported with your creative ideas. A lot of people work in different fields that are not maybe like artistic fields. but they still have that voice inside of them. And then they just wish that they had that community to go to. I really wanted to create a space like that, but I also have like a very set aesthetic. So I was gonna make sure like it was like all vintage. There's like Playboy speakers and stuff. Like I curated a cocktail menu.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like mixing speakers and stuff. Like I curated a cocktail menu.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like mixing that two together was like the perfect event. After I got really, really drunk. Like I was like, I have to celebrate. This is so much.
Yeah.
There was a speakeasy downstairs at the venue, and I went and I got so drunk. But I don't regret it. Next morning is when it hit. Waking up and seeing like all the messages and stuff, and just knowing that like the quality of the event, like no one came in there and felt like they were left out. Like as if you do at a party or something, or like at an event you see on Facebook that you just show up to, where you feel like kind of awkward, you know, someone might say hi to you, but you just don't feel their energy, or like you don't feel wanted. I felt like anyone who walked in there alone just automatically felt safe and like felt like you could talk to anyone. So it made me feel really good.
If there's something you would want to be able to have in a space like that, that's it. Like to walk in and feel comfortable and welcome, and like you can fill up space however you show up that day. It's okay. I commend you for doing that and like putting in the work and making sure that everyone could feel comfortable. If people felt that way, it's because of what you did. I think you're amazing, and I think that's so wonderful. And I'm just so happy that like events like that is something that you're going into. Whoever is leading something, it's even just like a workplace. A supervisor sets the tone for how everything else happens at work and like how people feel.
No, you're completely right. Like even the energy, the way I reached out to girls like I didn't know to come was I didn't send text messages. I refused to. I sent voice audios to everyone because I was like, when people hear your voice, when they feel your energy and how excited you are about it, then they get excited. So it's really important as someone who's like creating something for other people, like beyond yourself, to really have a lot of intention on what they're trying to do and show their feelings about it to them.
When you're trying to reach people, social media is like really wonderful in so many ways as a tool. It can be hard to really sense how someone is feeling, what they're putting out there if they're not right in front of you. Even the difference in like a voice memo from you and just how excited you are, that feels different in comparison to like, hey, do you want to come to this thing? Like, I don't know you. I don't know. Now I'm nervous.
If I texted, I bet 50 of the RSVPs wouldn't have happened. People's voice are such a powerful thing.
So kind of on that point, outside of the events that you've just thrown, are there some coming up that you have in the works that you're thinking about, and like what are you looking forward to with that?
Like right now we saw that we built the community on WhatsApp, so I only sent the link to very minimal people, like very few people to start it off, just seeing like how it's going, kind of planning in my head how like I'm gonna start like incorporating this community every day into my life. But I also want to do international events, so I would love to do one in Lisbon this summer in Portugal. I still don't know if I'm gonna just limit it to like a women empowerment or maybe do like just like a creative event. So we'll see.
You have just like picked up and moved places and just like I don't know, you are so inspirational. What is that even like for you, just having the thought that you want to go somewhere and then actually doing it and making it a temporary home for yourself?
It's hard. Like it could be very difficult, but it's possible. So it's like my brain process, as soon as I think, okay, like I want to go and explore the world, I want to go somewhere else, I think about a place, I get really clear about it. It's a process in my mind how I do it. So like first I find the place, then I find the accommodation. Usually I just book the plane ticket before the accommodations, like I can't back out. And like I tried to go with like a purpose, pack my bags and go. I think everyone should go abroad at least. Like if you have the opportunity to do so, a lot of people can't. And if you do, please take it. Just take it. You grow so much as a person. It's difficult at times, it is, but you learn so much about the world, about yourself, about people, that like it's worth it. And also like it doesn't even have to be about traveling the world. If you have an idea in your head, just like I had the idea about creating an event, just like you had an idea about starting this. If you have an idea, please try to execute it as much as you can, because the worst thing that can happen is you just fail and you learn, and that's it. You get up and you keep going. Nothing ever goes to plan, but you get so much more out of taking that risk than
Yes,
you would
yes.
just stay in the same place. You learn to live life truly to yourself, and that it is possible to do it.
Switch over to your series that you've shared on Instagram on Welcome to the Shit Show, where you are touring different vintage stores as you're going to different places, because you've done it in Lisbon, New York, Miami, and Mexico City recently too. And being in those different places, what is something that's kind of surprised you just seeing vintage in different cultures?
I think what's surprising about like thrifting around the world in vintage shops is basically what different selection they have. I like to find really cute, cheap pieces. With thrifting, I like going to different places around the world and finding something really unique you couldn't find anywhere else. And it's kind of funny to see, like, I remember I thrifted in Barcelona, and it was literally just everything you would find in like a Goodwill in Kansas. Like,
What?
it was all like old dad American t-shirts, like old dad American football
Wow.
t-shirts. And I was so disappointed.
Yeah,
I
I don't
was
want to go all
like,
the way to Barcelona and
I
have
was
stuff
looking at,
from here.
yeah, and I was like, I just wanted, like, like the style, like the
Yeah.
old lady Spanish style.
Oh
And I was so shocked. I
my
guess you
gosh.
learn like what each culture thinks is thrifting and what's vintage, because
Hmm.
everyone thinks something different. The best thrifting I've ever done. This is gonna sound really bad, but it's in Miami. Maybe Budapest. Budapest had really good thrift stores because they were really cheap. They were really fair priced. The only reason why I do like a distinction between thrift and vintage shop is because one lady in Miami, I went to her thrift shop. They're like, hey, I did a series called Thrifting Around the World. And she gave me so much attitude. And she's like, we're not a thrift shop, we're a vintage shop. And I was like,
Oh
oh,
my
you're
God.
right. Like, you're right. Like, completely. Like, you're. So
Yeah.
then now I use it. I use the term very seriously
Hmm.
on TikTok, because as soon
Yeah.
as I market a high-end vintage shop as a thrift shop, I'm getting hate.
I better watch out.
Yeah. And I've
They're gonna be
learned.
rude.
These are leather shorts, real leather in New York City. I
Oh my
thrifted at the
gosh.
Goodwill. I got
Okay.
these pants in Lisbon.
Yeah.
Are really,
Ooh. I
and
love
then
this.
I got this denim jacket.
No. Is that
At,
acid wash?
yeah, at a thrift store called Vintage Grails in Miami.
Oh my God. I don't think I've ever seen acid wash in that color. Ever.
It's so pretty. Honestly, I should wear this today if I go out.
Very last thing, and then I'm going to let you go. And everything that you're doing via events and this passion for really sharing your love of thrifting, your love of clothing, what day to day brings you the most joy?
Day to day, what brings me the most joy? Honestly, what brings me the most joy is just having really deep conversations with people about creating. I like just day to day joy is just completely being like myself and being able to have these meaningful conversations with people about art, about fashion, and being able to inspire others to like keep doing
Mhm.
what they want to do.